Hey guys, welcome to Forge Sports Media. This is our fifth episode of our podcast. My name's Trey, and I'm here with Thomas. Thomas, what are we talking about today?
Got a few interesting topics as we lead towards the end of the off season. We've got an interesting signing that we're going to discuss. We've got a disc golf security breach. We've got a recent tournament that is a off season favorite, followed by our discs of the week. We've got Foshi's facts and we've got Thomas's top five. We're going to try to keep it tame today. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, let's do it. And we'll start with that signing. Cole Redolin, a younger star in the disc golf world, has signed a deal with DGA. We don't have the deal. We don't have the details of the contract, but he did move from the mixed bag infinite discs.
Yeah,
He's losing the Sea Otter, which is so sad.
it's an interesting move for sure. I mean, he seems like the kind of guy that would have stuck it out with the infinite, like, mixed bag route, but
It seemed like it was really working for him. Like I said, the Sea Otter. I think that's by Wild Discs.
I couldn't
Um,
tell you.
but he aced with that on GK Pro Skins. And so that was, that they even made a signature series disc for him after that happened.
Right.
And so I thought that was going well for him. But Cole Redolin is, like I said before, a young star in the sport. He is growing his game. He's young. He's got a lot of potential. DGA is not known for getting the big signings, but they did get Katrina Allen, so you can see that there are opportunities with this company to do really well.
Yeah. I mean, Katrina Allen, definitely one of the best FPO players. I don't think there's any doubt in our mind about that. You've got
Right.
Andrew Marweed on the team as well, and now grabbing Cole Redolin. That's kind of a
Yeah.
big third person to snack on the team.
Absolutely, and I think he could make moves this year. In the past 2 years, he's shown some potential. He got seventh at Ledgestone in 21. He got eighth at Portland and 15th at Deglow this past season. And so while he hasn't had like the big win or the big finish yet, I think he might be due. Like,
I mean,
I'm excited to see how this young star starts out this season.
if you wear beanies as well as Cole Redolin wears beanies, I mean, you're kind of bound for success, right?
Yeah, obviously, I can't rock a beanie like that, but I do expect him to take a step forward this year. But I will be sad to see the Sea Otter. I was wanting to snag one of
Just a
those.
fun disc name overall. It's kind of hard not to like a disc when it's got such a fun name.
Yeah, it's a great name. Maybe we should do that maybe that could be a Thomas top five. Top
Oh,
five disc names.
all got to be super fun, super unique.
But anyway, getting into our next subject, Thomas, I think you wanted to talk about the security breach.
Yeah, so this is an interesting one. If you play disc golf tournaments at all, you've likely seen one of two or both sites. Disc golf scene, that's the one Knoxville primarily uses. Anywhere that I've played has, for the most part, registered through Disc Golf Scene.
Yeah.
Disc Golf United, on the other hand, is the other major tournament registration site, and I've only really used it for Tennessee States the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Which I always went in, felt like the site maybe looked a little more vibrant in color, but didn't feel like the functionality was necessarily there. That's all personal opinion here, but an email comes in regarding what seems like a security breach, sensitive information. Some say credit card information in particular has been swiped. And so Disc Golf United sends out an email that specifically addresses some of the how, some of the maybe timeline behind it. It sounds like December, maybe early, was their expectation of when they think that it started, as far back as October, but it sounds like some type of malicious code injection to breach and obtain sensitive user information. And so there's a long email that goes out. They proceed to say, we feel violated, hurt, severely frustrated at what happened. We take your security very seriously, and we value the relationships we've built with our customers over the years very much. On behalf of the entire DGU team, I sincerely apologize that it happened. Which, honestly, when I look at that email, I always like when a company is transparent about that happening. At the end of the day, sensitive information is sensitive information. If my
Yeah.
credit card gets leaked, I want to know that happened.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That information has to come out. I'm a little surprised actually because if they think that could have been happening as if they knew about it for sure happening in December, and we're just now hearing about it, end of January. I kind of feel like, and they think it could have been happening in October. It
Hmm.
seems like, I don't know. I feel like I would have. I feel like I wanted to know that sooner. Like as soon as it happened, like this isn't something that you go and do research on and then tell people. You go ahead and give it right off the bat. That's just my thoughts. But
Yeah, it's an interesting one. They mentioned that there were a grouping of patches that were made as they felt that there were some potential openings to this sensitive data, and they feel like right in that December area is when some of those patches were being made. So who knows? I agree that, the quickness in response to this type of information being leaked is key, especially to trust. Now, one interesting thing, and this is a more personal side to this, is I mentioned the last 2 years the Tennessee State's Disc Golf Championship was hosted on Disc Golf United.
yeah.
And this year, I just happened to notice before I even knew that this was going on that the Tennessee State's tournament was now being hosted on Disc Golf Scene.
Oh,
This is interesting.
that is
So,
interesting because I've played multiple years at Tennessee State's, like not just the past 2 years I have done those, but I played back in like 2016 or 2017, and it's always been on Disc Golf United. To see that move is kind of surprising,
oh
but
yeah,
like again, you talk about personal preference. Disc Golf Scene does a really good job. It's a very clear interface. It's very easy to sign up for tournaments. I feel like Disc Golf United can be a little convoluted at times and not as
yeah.
like user friendly. So I think disc golf is gonna take advantage of this. I think disc golf scene's great, and I'd say that they're gonna wind up getting a little more business out of this.
Oh, definitely. So we'll see where that goes. I think it's fun to go over these like very interesting niche topics that you don't see too often. We
Yeah,
talk about players, we talk about discs, but to talk about the business side of disc golf is just it's huge to be able to talk about that as we kind of see the sport grow
yeah,
and see more topics like this become relevant.
yeah,
So
definitely.
outside of this interesting topic, Trey, let's talk about one of the most coveted off-season events, the Shelly Sharp Invitational, or
Yeah,
I guess rather the Shelly Sharp Memorial.
yes. Which is a pretty cool name. You don't hear
Really?
tournaments being called the Memorials very often. So I don't know anything about Shelly Sharp, but I'm sure that that person was awesome, and so
Yeah.
and so they got a tournament named after them. And so this, yeah, like you said before, this is a tournament that is kind of seen as a warm up for the season. You'll see a lot of players travel, and a lot of players that are local play this tournament. And historically, Adam Hammis has dominated this tournament.
Definitely. I believe it was 2 years in a row, right?
Yes, which has been really good for him.
He still comes in tied for fifth. I think the first 2 rounds of the event he didn't play as well and then was able to pull out a pretty decent round at the end. I mean, I say decent. He shot 1071
Yeah,
in the last round. It was pretty hot.
it was a 10 under round, but then the winner, we were talking about this company before, DGA, Andrew Marweed coming out and winning this tournament by 6 strokes.
Definitely. The cookie man himself
Yeah,
taking number one.
he shot 25 down, 8 under in the last round. I mean, dominated throughout the tournament.
Yeah.
Finished the tournament with 5 birdies. That's the way you finish a tournament.
So it's a good last 5 holes, if you ask me, especially when you're kind of, I say fighting to the wire. You've got some room and to not just play very like safe golf, but rather playing pretty perfect golf.
Yeah.
Pretty solid way to finish it out. And then we noticed, and I had seen a post from DJ about this as well. Is the second place finisher Noah Meinsma also?
DGA sponsored.
What are the odds?
Dang. That's
Pretty solid.
that's a good weekend for them. I am gonna hit on Marweed real quick because I'm not gonna hit on Marweed.
I'm not gonna hit on Marweed.
But I'm gonna talk about Marweed a little bit here, because he had a really good, even I would even say a breakout 2021.
Yeah,
Um, he had the great battle with Kyle Klein at Idlewild in
right.
21. I mean, that's the one that stands out to me. And then 2022 changes sponsors, moves to
Mhm.
DGA. Did not have as smooth of a transition, I would say, as compared to Katrina Allen
Yeah,
for the move to DGA.
I would agree.
But this seems like it might be a step in the right direction because 2021 he kind of popped off.
Yeah.
2022, I mean, he played some good tournaments. He did He had some wins at some A tiers and
Mhm.
B
I mean,
tiers.
it looks like his best finish was particularly D-Glow as an Elite Series event at number 7, which for Andrew Marweed, being the professional that you are and moving and getting a relatively good deal with DGA, it's you kind of expect maybe a little bit more, but you can't necessarily knock a guy for just a bunch of top 25 finishes. That is, at the end of the day, great disc golf.
Right, right. And he also finished seventh at Memorial. So he had two great finishes on the year, two great top tens. But when you look at the season that he had in 21, particularly just having a great middle of the season in 2021, you wanted to see him take that step forward. But changing companies can be hard. You see some people have struggles in their first year, trying out a new bag, trying out new discs. So this might be another opportunity for Marweed to break out.
Definitely. I would love to see it. It's
Oh,
always fun to see
absolutely.
somebody that has finally settled into their company have a what hopefully will be a breakout season.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
see where that goes. Trey, it's time for the classic segment, Discs of the Week. You want to break it down for us?
Oh, for sure. I could definitely do that. We don't. We do actually have some discs this week. We're not going to talk about the Santa or the school.
Which I'm pretty upset that we didn't get the 100 likes that I asked for in Leap.
Man,
So you won't be seeing us throwing the Santa or the school by
SKOOL.
by go-to discs, which we realized would have been much harder to get our hands on. So honestly, maybe this was a win-win.
Yeah, I tried to find the Santa. I tried to find Osuma disc online, and I couldn't find a
It's
website.
pretty tough.
Yeah,
So
but
what do we got this week?
this week we have Dynamic coming out with a couple of discs. The Supreme Fugitive, which is going alongside the line of the Supreme discs. They've done the Judge. They did the now I'm trying to remember. They did the Trespass and they also did the Escape. And so it's
Mhm.
their original line of discs that they came out with. They're going ahead and putting out the Supreme version, which is pretty much the same disc, but we're seeing this new line of plastic that's pretty close to the Royal line plastic from Latitude 64.
I,
And so I guess they're having to use a new mold, and so in that like a new mold that they're actually molding the discs
yeah,
in, and so we're seeing these discs get approved in the Supreme version. So
right.
it'll be exciting to see that disc come out, as well as this wasn't talked about very much at all, and I didn't see this coming. The Saki Bomb Felon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have the Saki Bomb Slammer,
Mm-hmm.
which is a great disc that Ricky had a lot of input on and
Definitely.
was for his game. And so I was looking at it and I couldn't really tell, but I mean, Thomas, what do you think that the Saki Bomb Felon, like, what take is this going to be on the Felon? Do you think it's more overstable, more understable?
Feels like every time you get a Saki Bomb disc, it's more overstable.
I mean,
Which feels like in this day and age in disc golf, I think as we see professionals start to throw faster, more overstable discs become more important. And so it's seeing the Halo plastic from Innova start to gain traction because of its overstability. You
yeah,
start to see, what is it? Discmania goes and gets this Horizon plastic,
yes,
which is kind of their take on the Halo, at least the look of it, but it's more overstable, I believe. Uh, and then this Saki Bomb line of discs, each flying more overstable. I think it's necessary for pros that throw as hard as somebody like Ricky.
yeah.
Maybe it's not for your amateur specifically, but it's definitely going to serve the pro tour.
So are you telling me I don't need this disc?
As much as I think we should always be throwing 14 and 15 speed discs, I think throwing the more overstable version of those discs could be an unwise decision, giving our noodle arms.
Hey, then the Felon's a 9 speed. I can throw a Felon.
Yeah, we can.
But yeah, no. I think it'll be a great disc. I think it'll be a good utility disc for a player like you and me. And then Ricky's just gonna probably rip it all over the course and get birdies all over the place.
Which will note I say the prior and I throw a captain's raptor in my bag, which to be fair, I throw it on like a chopped Anheuser, which is like not how it, I mean, I guess it kind of is how it should be thrown. It's meant to have a unique style of throwing compared to just throwing a traditional flat forehand. It can be used in that capacity, but it's just kind of funny thinking of somebody like
I mean,
myself throwing a wacky overstable disc.
well, no, I think it's like I think that shot is valuable for the AM, just in the sense that like you need a utility disc to be able to throw an overhand shot, to be able to throw thumbers, to be able
Hmm.
to throw just like, like you're saying, the get out of jail chop Anheisers
Yeah,
in the woods. And like there's a lot of opportunities to throw a disc like that for the AM because we're often in scramble mode. And so I
definitely.
think it's an important disc.
It's specifically for the amateur.
Yeah, cap wraps, Chris Dickerson, stop throwing those. Those are all for me.
Exactly.
But speaking of discs, we're gonna jump into Foshi's facts here. So I was like, as we were looking at the new discs this week, I was just, it made me curious about like, there have been so many discs made in the past year. I don't know the numbers on that, but so many new manufacturers, um, that it made me think like, is this changing the game? Like, are we seeing new discs really like make a huge impact, or are the most popular discs things that have been made in the past? And so what I did is I took some of like the top manufacturers molds that like when you're thinking of a company, you think of this disc. So like for Discraft, you think of the Buzz. The
Yeah.
Buzz is the mid range.
Oh yeah.
And like when do you think the Buzz came out?
Heck if I know. 2000.
I mean, not far off, 2003. So like the Buzz has been the I mean, I'm just gonna say it this way. It has been the mid range for almost 20 years now.
Right.
Why, like, and as much as the sport has grown, why is there not a like a disc that has superseded that? Did they just get it right 20 years ago?
It's a very
Or
fair point.
and just I so I just say that to say like I'm just interested in the past of disc golf. So like the Judge was made in 2012.
Huh.
That is the go-to putter for a lot of players on dynamic discs.
Yeah.
The Wizard was made in 2002, which I know that the Wizard's not as popular as it once was, but at a time, the Wizard was like, if you had a mixed bag, oh, tons of people were throwing the Wizard.
I don't think I've ever seen a disc golf buy sell trade group there where there weren't like 5,000 Air Jordan stamped Wizards for sale.
Dude, you're not wrong. Yeah, I I I was a Wizard thrower at one point. I was a Wizard putter specifically. At that point, I didn't know how to throw putters, so I just putted with them. But that the Wizard is like a popular putter that's
Yeah.
been around for over 20 years. The AVR came out in 1984.
1884?
That disc is almost 40 years old.
I see so many people putting and throwing the AVR. That blows my mind.
Yeah, I mean, that was shocking to me. And then the Rock. So like you think of Innova, you think AVR Rock Destroyer.
Right.
The Rock came out in 87.
Really?
Yes. The signature mid-range from Innova is over 35 years old.
That does blow my mind that, and you mentioned the point earlier that you would think that given the timeline between original manufacturing and now that we would have a better mid-range technology would have improved, we would have better knowledge of how things fly to develop a better mid-range, and yet like you said, the Rock, the Buzz, they're still just absolutely crushing it in terms of sales in those categories.
Yeah, and the Destroyer is newer. It came out in 2007. But I think the point here is like they got it really right early on, and
Mhm.
we really haven't seen a ton of like development toward like the better tech, like making better technology. Maybe it's plastic, maybe it isn't the mold, but
Right.
I will say like I'll shout out Latitude 64 here because the Rive, it was kind of, no pun intended, their arrival at making a move toward like improving the technology. Latitude 64 has
Yeah.
not been afraid of trying new things and trying to make a faster, better disc. Back in, I'd say, the mid 2010s to late 2010s, they came out with a couple of Speed 15 drivers, the Rakuten and the Michelin. I did throw both of them at the time.
Hey, with our cannons of an arm. We
Hey,
have to throw the 14s and 15s.
hey, flex forehands, man. Those discs flew far, but those discs didn't work out as well as they had hoped. But you're seeing discs like the Rive. I mean, every pro who throws Trilogy has a Rive in their bag.
Oh yeah,
It's a fantastic disc.
it was a good disc.
But it doesn't seem like that's the norm. It seems like it seems like disc golf is kind of content in having their signature discs be their signature discs and just keeping on working with those.
Yeah.
And so I just didn't know. Do you have any thoughts on like why that is, or how, like, what's going to be like the next step in like disc golf technology?
Um, I think we were talking earlier about the Saki bomb felon, the idea of overstable discs starting to take over the pro scene. It would not surprise me as disc golf marketing improves based on a wider viewership that the discs that are going to make the most sales are the ones that we see being thrown. And if I see Ricky out there throwing a Saki Bomb Felon, I'm going to choose the Saki Bomb Felon over a standard Felon. I'm not much of a dynamic thrower myself, but I'm probably going to choose the Halo Wraith over, say, a Champion Wraith because I see that being thrown by Garrett Gurthey.
Yeah,
And it makes sense that rather than focusing on improving, not maybe not necessarily improving, but it would make sense to focus on appealing the professional and the understanding that the amateur is going to buy what they see
hmm.
thrown. It's like in golf. I've got a tailor-made Sim 2 driver in my bag, and I hit a slice like it's nobody's business. I bought this Sim because it sounded cool and it looked cool. Not because I'm really good at golf or that I
Hmm.
should be hitting that big of a driver.
Yeah,
I did it because there are pros out there that hit that club at the time. I got a good deal on it as well, but like there's no necessary purpose for me to do that. It's all based on popularity and based on what the pros are hitting.
got it. So I think what you're saying is like we're seeing these improvements in plastic, and that's going to shift the market toward better plastic, and that's where we're going to see the growth coming from. Is
Definitely, and they can charge more money for that plastic because it's more premium. I mean, the cost of discs. I mean, the cost of everything has gone up. But when you increase the quality of the disc in whatever direction that looks like,
yeah,
it's going to allow the manufacturers to make more money. I don't know much about the manufacturing cost behind. Like, is it actually that much more expensive? I mean, I would assume DX plastic is cheap, like DX plastic feels.
yeah.
But is the difference between Champion and Halo price wise for the materials that they purchase, is it that much different? Who knows? I would say probably, but I'm sure there are plenty of intricate details.
Sure, and yeah, we obviously don't know the polymer blends that they're using.
Right.
Otherwise, we'd be making discs too.
Yeah.
But I think that is an interesting point that we've seen more innovation in plastic than we have mold, and it is affecting the game, which is good. Um, I would love to see just like because I just don't know. That's the reason I asked the question. I was like, I don't know what the next big step is. Is like, are we going to come out with discs like that are designed using like simulations and things like that are wildly new, or are we at the point like we're our discs optimized? Like I just don't know. It's just interesting to think about.
There's always room for improvement. The amount, is there that diminishing return on value in terms of improvement? Maybe. I would assume the manufacturers are smarter than us, and so they'll move in the direction that they need to, and we'll see where it goes. Trey, I've got a wonderful Thomas's top five for the week. It's going to be a little bit more tame, and
Okay.
I think it fits in with what we're discussing. We're discussing the idea of companies, we're talking about the idea of plastic. Where exactly are we going for improvement as a whole?
Yeah.
And this isn't necessarily tied into improvement, but I think it's one that can stir up a good conversation. This week's top five, I'm choosing, and this is purely on personal opinion, my top five disc golf player logos. Oh, you're good. I'm really intrigued by players developing their brand, and I want to see I took a decent amount of time and I ran through as many logos as I possibly could to see what I thought was the best. I think you typically see what will primarily not be on this list. Uh, First name, last name, initial.
Yeah.
I think it's relatively boring. So let me go in
Yeah, just hit me with it.
at number 5. This one could fall sort of in that area, but I love Eagle McMahon's logo. The eagle
Oh.
with the eagle in the background. I think particularly you've got a cool name. You've got a really cool opportunity to follow a certain logo structure. And I think that looks good and it fits well on a disc. It is easily represented underneath whatever disc name you're trying to sell. I think it fits perfectly as a patch on a disc golf bag. I think it is a wonderfully sized logo. I think it just looks really cool, and he's obviously got a really cool name.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't really thought about Eagles logo, but like as you talk about it, I love the double eagle, if you will.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's cool.
So, to move into the next one, we've gotten to talk about this person a little bit leading into this, but Ricky Wysocki and the Saki Bomb logo. Again, this is a unique one. I have no clue. I tried to look up for a little bit the origin of Saki Bomb specifically. Like, I couldn't necessarily find it. I didn't spend as much time maybe as I could to find the first time Saki Bomb was mentioned, but I absolutely love it. Whether it's just a fun, playful thing, Saki Bomb is unique.
Yeah.
It's not an RW logo. It's Saki Bomb in a V with a missile coming down in the middle, and it very much so points towards Ricky throwing an absolute Heiser bomb. Maybe that's where it comes from. And the Saki Bomb stuff typically is more overstable.
Yeah.
And so he's throwing absolute bombs. And so I like the look of that logo. And again, I think it looks great on a disc.
Yeah, it does really look good on a disc. If you know why Ricky's called Saki Bomb, I mean, I can assume like why Saki and he throws bombs.
Yeah.
But like if you know the origin of that, drop in the comments.
Definitely. Let's go into number 3. This is the one that maybe technically sits in the category I said I would be leaving out. And I'm wearing the hat, is the Paul Ulibarri logo. But there's a purpose behind this one, and I think most follow the first name, last name structure. All 3 letters of Yuli are in this logo: the U, the L, and the I. It spells Yuli. Again, you can always look at logos and see, man, do I think that there was a fortunate piece behind this? Yeah, Paul Ulibarri goes by Yuli. It's a 3-letter word, and I think the logo creation was really good. I think it's modern, and I think it's sleek, it's minimalistic, and it fits again great on any apparel, any disc. We've talked in the past. I mean, there were Yuli Raptors with just that logo on it, and we talked about how much we wanted that.
So good, yeah.
What do you think?
Now, I mean, that's my number one. That's my favorite logo in disc golf. But what I will say is, do you know who made that logo?
Who?
Jeremy Colling.
Really?
Yeah, Jeremy Colling. That's what he does on the side is do logo design. I don't remember where I heard that, but I do know that he designed several logos, including that one.
I did not know that. That's a really good Boshi's fact.
Hey, just throwing that in there in your segment. My bad.
Definitely. So another one, which I think I say less people will know. I didn't. This one comes from the FPO side.
Okay.
I think Katrina Allen has a really unique and cool logo. This is her logo right here. It's a rose.
Huh.
I don't necessarily see the any type of first name, last name type thing. I don't necessarily understand the symbolism. I know I don't really know much about it, but I think the logo itself is unique. It's sleek. It's modern. And I think it would look good on any piece of apparel, any disc. And I think it makes you question, what exactly does this logo mean rather than just looking at it. And don't get me wrong, I think there are plenty of logos, like Chris Dickerson. Love the logo. I think it looks good on apparel. Gannon Burr. Love it. Looks good on apparel. Calvin Heimberg's is a little bit more unique in the sense that it's kind of like a circle leading the C into an H. And then there are unique ways to do that. But this one just makes you think a little bit.
Yeah, I haven't seen this one either, but it looks, to me, professional is the first word that comes to mind. It looks like a professional logo. It doesn't give off the same block initial vibes that some of them give. This looks like a logo. This could be a logo for a non-disc golf company, and I would not be surprised. It looks really, really good.
Definitely. And then number one, and I think there are a lot of people that would agree with this, and maybe I associate it as a logo, and this is the Brody Dark Horse.
Yeah.
This is now we'll note that I don't know, say, the far way back origins of the Dark Horse, though I did watch Brody Smith prior to him being a disc golfer when he was playing with Garrett Clark and some others in golf, and they ended up moving into this Bro 5 YouTube channel, which eventually led to a split, and they ended up starting Good. Brody moved in the area of disc golf, and during all of that, they would say things like, "I'm going to hit a dark horse shot." And so I've heard this for a long time, but there wasn't any specific logo behind all of it as far as I can remember. I only really know this logo as a disc golf logo, but it looks amazing. A dark horse zone.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's the Get Freaky zone, but it has the
dark horse on it. Yeah.
I mean, it looks really good. It's really unique. It stands out, and I think it is my favorite logo in disc golf.
Yeah, I said Yuli was my favorite, but Dark Horse has got to be up there. It's unique. It's got a lot of flair, and maybe I'm a little biased because I bagged so many Get Freaky zones, but it's a great logo. Great top 5, man.
Yeah,
that was good.
I enjoy talking about the business side of things, and it was fun to hear you talk about some disc golf history. So I think we're gonna call that a wrap for the podcast episode. We're really excited as we move in to the on season because the off season can feel a little bit boring, but we want to be able to hit on some fun topics that are a little bit unique, as we will have less time to talk about that as we move into a very raging true season that's going to have a lot of ups and downs.
Dude, I'm so excited to be able to watch live disc golf again.
It's going to be really good.
I'm so excited. But thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. And we will see you next week.
Definitely.
Thanks very much.
If you have any topics that you'd like to see hit in maybe Foshi's Facts or Thomas's Top 5, leave them below. And we'll record next week, all right?
Sounds good.
See you guys.